are now at step 6, using template number 6, and discussing techniques for practice for the dimension mechanism. So after having observed and analyzed several situations, either in the past or even present, you would have evidenced a fairly large number of non-conducive mechanisms, mainly of the opposing categories, and opposing plus compensating. And you would have envisioned or understood or imagined what would be the supporting mechanisms to use instead. Of course, it's a very complex field, and we can nevertheless discuss a bit of simplification on how to do that. So, from the opposing mechanism, for example, that you may have been using to oppose either yourself, your assets, your values, purpose, or how you feel and think. So you might have been using a mechanism like denying, or blocking, or rejecting, etc. And these would lead to very negative feelings, or not feeling who you really are and what your values and so on are. So that being so hard, you would have used adding compensating mechanisms. One of them may be displacing all of these on your body and maybe seeking soothing through substances or through actions and so on and so forth. Or you may have used displacement or projection or blaming onto others to try to compensate with the bad feelings. So you would have seen all of these. Now you would have also seen that you want to use supporting mechanisms such as accepting yourself, owning who you are and your qualities, or embracing. So you have to move from here to here. So again, the go technique, go meaning giving up, to give up, and opt for. So to opt for, you can start to understand and use mechanisms that actually are very powerful and that we all can use, such as choosing, the power of choice, deciding to do one thing or another, or to use the right mechanisms. One we've discussed already is anchoring in inner positive feelings or strength. So these are other mechanisms that can be used to move from non-conducive to conducive by actually be very actively choosing the supporting mechanism. And to give up, you could use other mechanisms such as simply acknowledging what the opposing and compensating mechanisms were. And once you've done that, you simply correct. That's another mechanism. Or even forgiving yourself from having used the wrong mechanism of opposing and projecting, for example. But also forgive others because they're not responsible for what you do to yourself internally. So I know it's a very complex field, but remembering that we can always choose, decide, and anchor into what we want to use on ourselves in terms of the right mechanism, and simply letting go by understanding that we made a mistake, so we correct the mistake, or even forgive ourselves.